situation, although under much more severe circumstances. Whilst on trial for
नमस्कार, स्वागत है आप सभी का बकचोदी के एक नए एपिसोड में। आज अपन देखने जा रहे हैं द डम्बेस्ट क्रिमिनल ऑफ ऑल टाइम। तो चलो आओ मजे लेते हैं।
In 2009, Matthew McNally and Joey Miller robbed a home in Iowa using masks drawn onto their faces with permanent black marker. Whilst on the run, the two discovered that permanent
भाई इससे अच्छा मुंह पे गोबर पोत लेते भाई ये चूतिए। इस मतलब पहले ही जो बंदे आए वो सबसे गू बंदे आए मैं अपनी जिंदगी के। इससे गोबर भाई लोगों को जहर दे देना चाहिए भाई, लोगों जेल वेल में नहीं डालना चाहिए, तो लोगों को देना चाहिए। क्या आगे हैं भाई लोग।
black marker doesn't rub off easily, leading to their simple arrest and embarrassingly stupid mugshots. However, these two still look like geniuses in comparison to some of the other idiots we'll be talking about as we discuss the stupidest criminals of all time. Take for example MacArthur Wheeler, who robbed two banks in broad daylight as he thought that pouring lemon juice on his face would make him invisible to cameras. When shown the bank surveillance footage, Wheeler refused to believe that he was visible, stating to officers, "But I wore the juice," believing that as long as he didn't come near a heat source, he should have been completely invisible. Police concluded that Wheeler was not crazy or on drugs, just incredibly mistaken, with the lemon juice mistake eventually costing Wheeler a 24.5 year.
भाई लोगों सजा क्यों दे रहे हो भी? माँ कसम, इन लोगों को खुद दे दो टाइम, बाकी लोग खुद फांसी लगा ले भाई। मतलब मेरे पास सब नहीं है भाई, मैं ज्यादा बोलूंगा तो मैं पागल हो जाऊंगा खुद ही।
Terrible disguises, then we can't go past Dennis Hawkins, whose disguise as an old lady wasn't much better. His sweater accompanied fake boobs, a full beard, and fittingly clown pants, with this insanely recognizable outfit helping police to catch Hawkins only an hour after the robbery. The police chief for the area stated, "He would get my nomination for dumbest criminal, I think. You still have his black facial hair with a blondish wig. Definitely different." Different is also a good way to describe Patrick Maguire's disguise, who robbed an Illinois convenience store while covering his face with a clear plastic bag. He was only able to obtain
भाई जिसको लूटने गया था वही प्लास्टिक बैग दबा के इसको मार देना चाहिए था भाई। प्लास्टिक बैग तो पहन के गया ही है, मुंह पे बांध दो बस, सांस ले पाएगा नहीं भाई। लोग जगह पे अगर मैं होता ना, जिन लोग क्या लोग चोरी करने में माँ लोग तेल दो भाई, क्या बनने भाई, मेरा दिमाग खराब हो रहा है भाई देखने में।
$60 from the robbery. However, due to his extensive criminal history, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison for the stunt, meaning that he had to spend 1 year in prison for every $4 stolen from the store. Talk about a bad return. Equally bad was Paul Sinclair's, who attempted to rob a bank in Florida by using his fingers curled up into a gun shape. The quote-unquote weapon was
भाई ये रोबोट पिक्चर कुछ ज्यादा ही देख लिया क्या? अपने आपको चिट्टी समझ रहा था कि ऐसे बंदूक रखूंगा तो बंदे मेरे से डर जाएंगे।
So non-threatening that the bank teller gave him only $120, after which he'd flee on foot before being caught by police only 10 minutes later.
भाई ये इतने बड़े चूतिए हैं जो चोरी करने आए हैं ना, ये लोग मतलब ये लोग कहाँ भाग के जाएंगे भाई? ऐसा हग रहे हैं लोग जिस टाइप का चोरी करने आए लोग, तुम लोग को लगता है बच पाएंगे किसी एंगल से? माफ करना, ज्यादा पॉज कर रहा हूँ तो।
Then there was James Blankenship, who thought that robbery was legal as long as you did it at a certain time of day. Back in 2013, Blankenship broke into his own mother's home, after which the police were called, who would take to their Facebook page later that day to explain what had happened. He fled the scene upon seeing his mother. The male was located under the house hiding in a crawl space. When advised of his charges, he made the statement, "I thought you could only be charged with burglary if you break in during the night time." Blankenship was given 180 days in jail and ordered to pay a $100 fine, yet this wasn't the only time when a person was dumb enough to think that a law didn't apply to them. Because when Ruben Pavin was caught stealing from a charity thrift shop in New Hampshire, he'd state that he thought
एक सेकंड सॉरी माफ करना, बच्चे को लेके आया क्या चोरी करने भाई?
Dumb enough to think that a law didn't apply to them. Because when Ruben Pavin was caught stealing from a charity thrift shop in New Hampshire, he'd state that he thought everything was free because of the name of the business, Finders Keepers. The sign did say Finders Keepers, so I took that DVD player, took it home, Pavin told the local TV station. A couple of weeks later, the stuff is still there on the porch, so I'm thinking to myself, Finders Keepers, they probably just put stuff out there for people to take. The business responded via Facebook stating, "This man who was caught on video is saying it is all a misunderstanding. He thought everything at our store was free. Is that really the best defense he could come up with?" After which Pavin reportedly turned in the stolen goods to police, holding that he's not a bad person or a bad dad.
भाई लेकिन एक गजब खतरा आइडिया है भाई। अगर तुम किसी के यहाँ से चोरी करो और जब तुमको पुलिस पकड़े तब तुम उसको बोल दो कि मेरे को तो लगा ये सब फ्री है यहाँ स्टोर में, इसलिए मैं लेने आया। बंदे का 10,000 IQ कुछ ज्यादा ही आगे पहुंच गया है ये जो उन लोग अमेरिकन लोग करते हैं ना अपना आई आइडेंटिफाई एज दिस दैट, ये लोग की बजा देगा अच्छे से। जैसे तुम लोग अगर देखोगे एक बहुत वायरल वीडियो हुआ था, उसमें एक बंदा ऐसे ही बोलता है, आता है उधर से कैमरा लेके, वो बोलती है कि कैमरा बंद कर दो, इधर से आई आइडेंटिफाई एज ए कैमरा। भाई उन्हीं लोग का चुतिया उन्हीं लोग पे प्ले कर देता है। घंटा हंसती है भाई, बोल देता है क्यों हंस रहे हो, फटी बस। जो तुम हकते ना, इंसान जो खुद हकता है ना और उसके बाद उसको उसका फल मिलता है तो उसकी खुद बचती है।
Unbelievably stupid. But was he as dumb as Derek Mosley, who in 2013 attempted to rob a store named Discount Gun Sales by using a baseball bat? When Mosley allegedly barged into Discount Gun Sales and smashed a display counter with his baseball bat, the store manager simply pulled out his own personal firearm.
तुम लोग अगर समझ रहे हो कि मैं किसका बात कर रहा हूँ तो of course वो लोग लिस्ट में होंगे।
And pointed it straight at the would-be robber, holding Mosley in the store until he was arrested and charged with first-degree robbery. A similar story then came out of Texas in July 2022 when a gun store was robbed at knife point, although this tale instead ended in a body bag as the robber was fatally shot by the store owner as he tried to exit with his loot. But what happens when you accidentally call 911 whilst committing a crime? Pocket dialing the police is probably a fairly common occurrence. However, for Carson Reinhardt and Nathan Tekla, it happened at the most unfortunate moment.
इन लोग का मुंह ही देखो भाई, जज मत नहीं करना चाहिए, माफ करना मेरे को, लेकिन चूतिए लोग लग रहे हैं देख के कि चोरी कर पाएंगे। साले ऐसे लग रहा है कि टपली मारे भाग।
Specifically while they were breaking into a car. The alert dispatcher soon realized that the call was an accidental one, and moreover that the guys on the other end might be up to no good. For the next 35 minutes, the dispatcher stayed on the line, listening and gathering information, as Tekla Merriam and Reinhardt did the following. Discovered a car that they thought they could burglarize, discussed how to break into the car, allegedly broke into the car, exclaimed in delight over finding narcotics in the car, became confused as to how and why a police car was following them, and reacted in disbelief when the arresting officer revealed that they'd been on the line to 911. A similar situation, although under much more severe circumstances. Whilst on trial for murder in 2015, Scott was successfully sentenced to life in prison, as 2 years prior he'd pocket-dialed the police while admitting to a friend that he was the one who committed the crime. He had no idea he called 911, a sheriff's office spokeswoman told the Miami Herald. He basically told on himself.
महाचूतिया वीडियो देखा अपनी जिंदगी का अभी तक मैं, इतने खत्म लोग होते हैं भाई दुनिया में। तो जिसको वीडियो देखने में मजा आया हो, लाइक शेयर सब्सक्राइब कर देना। मैं और ऐसे ही तगड़े वीडियो लेके आते रहूंगा। तब तक के लिए पीस।